The 315-pound bench press. Some people dream about this number and others don't think that they'll ever hit it. Now, I broke down completely the odds, the stats, everything like that, and how possible it is for you to achieve a 315-pound bench. So stay tuned for this video. Without further ado, let's get it. So picking up where I left off, benching 315, now is when we actually get into the statistics of it and we break it down, right? Here we go. The stats. 126,783 total 315 plus bench presses have been done in competition. That's not if somebody benches 315, 375, 405, no, they only get credit for one, right? So 126,000 total people, I should have said people, have benched 315 plus pounds in competition. It'd be like another 1,000 people if you include all the 314.1 pound bench presses done in competition. But we're talking about 315, so boom, there you have it. If you do that math into the fact there's 8 billion people in the world, you get the fact that there is 0.001584% of people have benched 315 in competition. Now, if that makes you kind of take a step backwards and be like, okay, wow, there's a very small amount of people that have benched 315 in a competition, right? For it to actually count, be 100% legal, you have to do it in a competition. If you want to do it outside of a competition, I don't know, I guess it could still count, but there's no way of actually tracking that. But now, here's where the percentage gets a little bit smaller, right? Because just looking at this number, you're like, man, I'm never going to bench 315. That's almost impossible. But if you actually break it down, only 502,000 people have ever competed in the bench press, right? And I mean, if you do the percentage of that, that's probably only 0.005% of people have ever competed in the bench press. So that means 25.2% of competitors have benched 315. So basically, going to a meet and going 1, 2, 3, 4, one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, odds are they have bench pressed 315 pounds, right? See, every person, like I said, is only listed once. So there's been 126,000 people that have benched 315 or more, and that's only them being listed once, not all their benches, all that's ever happened, right? And if we break this down even more, 126,645 men have bench pressed 315 in competition, but only 138 women have bench 315 in competition. And you can understand why, right? It's pretty simple to understand. 315, the even just men weighing more than women on average makes that super hard to do. On top of, men have testosterone, other stuff like that. Don't need to get into that conversation right now. But if we break down that percentage point, around 35% of men who compete have bench press 315. So realistically, now you're talking that if you're at a meet, basically 2 out of 5 people, I mean, that's kind of rounding up a little bit, but 2 out of 5 people have bench press 315 at a meet. And so if you're at a powerlifting meet, there is a lot of knowledge around you, period, end of discussion, right? I mean, if you are just at any local powerlifting meet, odds are you're going to find someone that benches 315. Just anyone, right? Not even using like the percentage. Odds are someone at that meet, someone at literally just about every single powerlifting meet out there should bench 315, right? Unless it's maybe women's only meet, then you can understand why. But if it's a both men and women's meet, you will find most likely someone that benches 315. Now, if we break that into the woman's side, 0.099%, sorry, I didn't put the percent there, of women who compete have benched 315. So on the woman's side, this is a freaking legendary number. This is insane to crack, right? I believe that there's probably also been about 100 to 200 men who have benched 600 pounds. So saying for a woman to bench 315, it's probably the equivalent of a man benching 600. So put that out there, right? You really don't see too many men benching 600 in a meet. I mean, maybe 585 in a meet. You really don't see that much often. And you probably also don't see many women benching 315 in a meet. That it gives you about that. But at a meet, odds are you will find someone benching 315. What does that mean? It is simple. Men, the odds are almost for you. The odds are literally almost for you, right? Let me just go back real quick. Oop. Let me just go back real quick. 35% of men who compete will bench 315. And so many people compete for only a year and a half, 2 years, right? If you stick at powerlifting for 3 years, probably minimum, I can almost promise you and assure you that you will probably bench 315 pounds. If that goal means that much to you, and you're smart with your programming, you're smart with the coaching, you have buddies that lift, you're listening to tips, advice, you're researching, you're growing. I mean, you're the average size male, right? Size is something else that I got to talk about real quick too, because yes, obviously it's going to be harder for a man that weighs 130 pounds, a man who weighs 315 pounds, right? But for the average size male, as long as you're doing everything right and you're trying and you're keeping up with your lifts, yada, 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 the odds are almost for you, right? It's almost at a 50%. And think about how many people that you know, even if you know powerlifters, that compete one time and they never compete again, right? Like so many people compete once and never compete again. I know that for a fact. I don't know why. I mean, I know so many people who compete once and come back, but so many people only compete one time. So if you get rid of all these people who have only competed once, only competed twice, 3 times, and you go like people who've done more than 5 competitions, I bet you that it would probably be over 50% of men who've competed over 5 times have bench 315. So yes, the odds are almost for you. If you could probably get to 5 meets, I bet you that you will be looking at around a 315 bench. Average man, average size, just the rest of that. But women, unfortunately not. It would be incredibly tough for a woman to bench 315 pounds, right? And I don't want to dive too far into like the whole like Olympic arguing thing, like oh men are built bigger than women, blah, blah, blah. But it's the truth, right? Men have testosterone in their body, makes them stronger. Other ways like that. We don't need to dive into that stuff. But women, it's very possible to bench 315. I just told you 138 women have benched 315 in competition, right? Now saying how many women have benched like 265 in competition, I'm not sure. But if you are a woman and your goal is to bench 315 pounds, well, maybe elbow wraps in the gym, right? Doing a touch and go, not completely competition standard. Then I could say all you have to do is probably get up to 275 comp standard, and that other 30, 40 pounds, or yeah, it would just be 30 pounds. That extra 30 pounds could come out of the elbow wrap, stuff like that, right? So for a woman, it's a much, much harder, but it's not impossible, right? It's just like a man. 600-pound bench press for a man. Crazy, crazy difficult, but it's not impossible. What does that lead me to after doing all this conclusion? Get to a powerlifting meet. If 35% of men or 25% of people who've competed in general have bench press 315, why wouldn't you go to a powerlifting meet? So many gyms now, there may be like 1 or 2 people that can bench 315, right? I mean, if you go to a nicer gym, maybe like 5 or 6. But realistically, if the gym has like 600 members, so 1% of the gym could bench 315, that's kind of weird. Why wouldn't you want to go to a powerlifting meet if you know that you're going to be in the crowd where it's the most guaranteed that people can bench 315? Almost like football. If you go to a football game, most of the football players, like college football players or NFL football players, you almost guarantee that they all bench 315. So if the powerlifting meet is the closest thing that you could get to that, going to like a world class meet or whatever, just going to a local meet and almost being guaranteed somebody benching 315 there, why wouldn't you go and try to hang around that person? I put this quote here. You probably heard it before. Hang around a rich person if you want to become one, right? If you hang around millionaires, you'll become one. If you hang around a bunch of drug addicts, well, you see how it works. But why wouldn't you want to go to a powerlifting meet if it's surrounded by people that you know do what you want to become, right? So that's basically my review. That's breaking down the stats. How possible is it to bench 315? As Blake went signing out. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.